Loved it, first of all. My hearing is way too loud. Let me fix it. Oh, there we go. You love the cover call strategy. Ben just talked about there could be a couple of potential, I don't see the downsides, but outcomes that some people could interpret that. One of those is having the stock called away. Well, you got paid to have that stock get called away, right? And in theory, it went up. Well, what if it went away and you still like the stock? I love how Ben positioned this, and you wanted to buy that stock back. What if you got paid to buy the stock back? How many of you like that idea? Okay, that's what we're going to talk about.
All right, so again, you know, I mentioned some of you might have portfolios that have a lot of cash in that portfolio. Okay, so if we're going to create what we refer to as a cash secured put or a short put.
Yep.
What is our obligation when we sell a put option? If selling a call option obligates us to sell the shares of stock, then what's the obligation that we create when we sell a put? To buy the shares of stock, right? In order to buy something, we've got to have cash to buy it, don't we? Okay? So, there's a reason why this is called a cash secured put, because what we have to hold in our account in order to accomplish this strategy is the capital needed to buy the stock that we're selling the cash secured put on.
If we take assignment.
If we take assignment. You're absolutely right. So, what if we were to look at a stock, Scott? I'm going to go over to my chart here, and let's take a look at a stock that maybe has been, let me bring this up, not this one, that's Nike. Let's go to TMUS, this is T-Mobile.
T-Mobile.
What's T-Mobile been doing here?
Been going up, broke through a level of resistance.
Yeah.
Closed above the high and low day. How much technical analysis do you want? And it's bumping up against a new level of resistance.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. It had that little inverted head and shoulders pattern there.
There you
we
go.
About yesterday.
Yeah, right.
Made that move. Now, what's going on with implied volatility? We just had an earnings announcement. Implied volatility is low.
Pulling back.
But is it as low as it's ever been?
No.
No. It's lower, but it's not the lowest, and it seems to be still being kind of high and falling, right?
Yeah.
When we're the seller of an option, we want to see implied volatility high and falling, or higher and falling, yes? So, let's look at creating a short put, or a cash secured put here on T-Mobile. Now, we already kind of understand the risk profile of this, because the risk in this trade, if our obligation is to take delivery of the stock, our risk in this trade is exactly the same as the risk in selling a covered call, isn't it?
Exactly.
Because you said it here when we were talking about this, when I asked the question, what's the risk in selling a covered call? It's in the ownership of the underlying stock.
Yeah.
What's the risk in a cash secured put?
Ownership of the underlying stock.
Ownership of the, yeah, perfect. Ownership of the underlying stock and the stock going to zero. So Scott, let's kind of talk practical terms here. If we were going to create a cash secured put on T-Mobile, are the considerations for where we sell this put option similar to the considerations we might be thinking about if we were going to sell a covered call?
Yeah, they are. They're very similar.
So physically, where might we begin our search for a cash secured put to sell? Strike price wise and expiration.
So strike price wise, we're going to be looking at a similar delta as we were looking at with the covered call, and expiration the same. Right?
Okay.
Yep.
So let's maybe go out in this particular case, kind of in that 40 to 20 day time frame that we talked about. Let's
21
go to
March. Yeah,
21 March.
days. Yep.
And now I'm over on the put side of the equation.
Right.
And I'm going to look at those put options. Now, we said about a 30-cent delta,
About a
right?
30-cent
That's where we
delta.
were looking at it, right?
Well, let's clear down to
Making sure that we are on singles.
single. There we
There's
go.
our delta right there.
Yeah, that's accurate.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's accurate. So that's a 33 delta at 240. Let's go back to the chart and look at 240.
Okay, cool. Let's cross-check that again.
Now, the reason Ben hesitated there is it will be unusual. This is a tad bit unusual to see that 33 delta at the money, or the closest strike to being at the money.
Yeah,
It's usually further out of the money than that. So that can be telling us something. That could be telling us something about the market's vision or the market skew about what's happening here, etc. But we said 240, so drop where's our 240? Right.
What, Scott? I've already drawn that.
It's at support.
Oh, so wait, one of the things, two considerations when I think about for selling a cash secured put. Selling around the 30-cent delta is a starting point or a consideration.
Yeah.
And or selling at or below a support level.
Right. Now, what will drive that consideration or your decision around those considerations are a couple of things. So one thing that we need to mention is you should never sell puts. You should never do a cash secured put strategy on a stock unless you are absolutely willing to own that stock. And there's a couple of reasons that we'll do these. One is just for cash, just for income generation. The other one is to buy, the other one is to cash generation and buy the stock at a discounted price from where it's currently trading. So both of those can be accomplished with this cash secured put. Okay.
All right. So now that we kind of have that thought process in mind, we've got our 240 support level, and we were looking at that 240 strike. Now, here's the thing. If we were to click on the, what do we have to click on to sell an option? The bid price, right? Now, this has a little bit wider bid-ask spread.
Yeah.
Notice how I articulated that. The bid is 370, the ask is 420. So it's a little bit wider, but it's not huge.
But we're after hours.
Yep. So I'm going to click on the bid price there, and you notice we're getting that for $3.70 times 100 shares, $370. And if I click on confirm and send, this is where things differ a little bit from selling the covered call. Because remember when I clicked on confirm and send on the covered call, what did it tell me my maximum theoretical loss was? Infinite maximum loss. It's not really, because we own the shares to deliver. But in this case, if I click on confirm and send, I'm bringing in 370 bucks. What's my max loss?
The stock going to zero if it's assigned to us at strike price.
Yeah. Oh, cool. And that also gives me a break-even price. The break-even price is the strike price, in this case 240, minus the premium I'm bringing in. In other words, what this is saying is the point at which I start losing money on this trade, if I were put the stock, is if the stock goes below 236.30. Okay? That's my break-even point. So as long as the price of the stock stays at or above 236.30, well now I'm okay because I'm buying the stock essentially like buying the stock at a discount.
Ben, do you mind going to the chart and just showing us where 236.30 is in relationship to our support level?
You got it. Let's go, we edit this and we'll go back over here to the chart. 236.30 is going to be right about,
Right, yeah, that was close enough, but yeah. Right in there, that's close
right
enough.
about there.
Yeah, that's close enough.
Cool, right there.
Yeah. I just wanted you to visually see that this was happening to be.
Yeah. So isn't that maybe about where we were putting a stop loss if we were getting into the stock anyway? Yeah. That's kind of cool, isn't it? That symmetry to this.
That's way cool.
But we know that in order to place this trade, here's what we have to do. We have to have in our account cash to the tune of $23,300 or $630 in our account of cash.
Yep.
Because this is a cash secured put. Now, can you, if you were to sell this put option, can you do something else with that cash? Can you obligate that cash somewhere else? No. Or else it becomes what? A naked put, right? You don't have the capital to satisfy that obligation. That's a lot of cash. So we've got to keep in mind, and I'm glad that it's you up here talking about this, because you helped us understand position size and exposure yesterday.
Sure,
yes?
yeah. But go back to what I just said a few minutes ago. You wouldn't do a cash secured put on a stock that you're not willing to own anyway. So there's that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've got to kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Now, do we have to let if we get put in stock, do we have to let the price of the stock go all the way to zero?
Yes.
If we get forced onto the bus,
Yeah.
because we sold a put option and now we get assigned the obligation to get on the bus. So somebody shoves us onto the bus, do we have to stay on that bus all the way to Macon, Georgia? No. Can we just get off the bus?
You don't want
Theoretically.
You don't want to jump out.
Jump off the bus
Yeah.
while it's moving.
Oh, you're good.
You could get hurt, you know. Okay, now let's go back to our covered call scenario, right? We sold the covered call, we have the stock called away from us. Now, we brought in that premium, maybe we gained some because the price of the stock went up, we've got some capital in our account, now we've got some more cash. Could we then turn around and do exactly this, create a cash secured put for the purpose of getting back into the stock
And selling a covered call?
and selling a covered call again?
Oh, yeah, this sounds like something I heard of.
So could we kind of just wheel our way around to?
Wheel our way around. I see what you're doing here. Yeah. This is called the wheel strategy, right? It's a wheel strategy.
Yeah.
Sell a covered call, gets called away, sell a put, you get it back. Sell a covered call, gets called away, sell a put, you get it back. Not every stock is appropriate for this strategy.
Right.
I need to make that very clear to you. You need to understand the characteristics and attributes of any of the stocks that you're trading and understand that some stocks are definitely not very good candidates for that strategy. But some are, and you'll know what they are as you're trading.
So if the goal here is either to be put the stock or to at least keep the premium, right? Collect the premium and selling that cash secured put. Does this trade, much like the covered call, does this trade have a directional bias? What's the directional bias of a cash secured put? Oh, I'm seeing a couple of different conversations here about this. What's the directional bias if we're selling a cash secured put? What do we want to have happen here? We want the price of the stock to go up.
We always say bullish, and I like to say bullish to neutral.
Yeah.
Because if the stock doesn't go up, I still benefit, right? So it is bullish, but bullish to neutral is important to understand.
Yeah, Rachel helped us understand what the directional bias was in the covered call, right? It's neutral to
Bullish.
to bearish, to bullish, right? Because we own the underlying stock. It's not a bearish strategy. Covered call isn't a bearish strategy because we can't generate enough premium to offset the price of the stock going way down. Somebody asked me the question about a stock that was declining. Should they continue to sell covered calls against that if it's breaking down through levels of support? You might think, wow, well, I'm not able to sell those call options fast enough for enough premium to offset that downside move. But if we're selling a put option, we definitely have a bullish to neutral bias here.
Yeah.
And let's think about it. Okay, we started the day, you and I, Scott, we started the day making fun of your Pink Princess phone.
Oh, that's right.
Call up, put down. So what's one way that we can take advantage of upward movement in the price of the stock? Buy a call, yes?
Yep.
And then we talked about with Ray, we talked about price, time, and volatility in the option briefs, right? Directional price movement, passage of time, changes of implied volatility. So if we buy a call option, I want to think about this, right? Stock, the price of the stock could go up a lot, it could go up a little bit, it could go sideways, it could go down a little bit, or it could go down a lot, right? Kind of 5 different possibilities, or different variations thereof, right? So we buy a call option. The stock could go up a lot. That works in our favor, doesn't it?
Does.
Absolutely, especially if it goes up fast.
Yep.
Because then we're gaining value, call up, we're gaining value because the price of the stock going up, those calls get more expensive, and that upward movement is offsetting time decay. If the price of the stock goes up a little bit, Well, we're probably gaining because the calls are getting more expensive, but time decay is working against us, so it's a battle in that up a little bit scenario. The stock is moving up, but time decay is working against us, so whichever one wins, that's what we're going to make in the trade, right? That's what's going to be the influence. If the price of the stock goes sideways, we're not gaining anything in the call price appreciating, are we? Delta's not working in our favor in that case.
And so because of theta, because of time, we begin to lose money on it.
Yeah, so going sideways for a long call option doesn't work for us.
No.
Going down a little bit, we've got time decay working against us, and call options become less expensive, so the directional movement's working against us. And if the price of the stock goes down a lot, oh man, the call price is going lower, time decay is working against us. The only thing maybe we've got working in our favor if the price of the stock is going down is that what's likely to happen to implied volatility? If the price of the stock is going down, implied volatility is likely to rise because options participants are maybe buying put options to offset or to hedge their position. So those options might be getting more expensive. That little bit of a rise in implied volatility might buffer some of that downward movement, but it's not going to offset directionally that downward movement in the price of the stock.
That's correct.
That's buying a call option. Now, let's think about what we're doing here with selling a put option with a bullish directional bias or even a neutral directional bias. So we sell a call option or put option. We're bringing in, what did we do? Bring in on this one? We brought in $3.70, right?
$370.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we sell this put option at the strike price of $2.40. So if the price of the stock goes up a lot, do we get put to stock? No. Do we get to keep our $3.70 of premium? Yes. Okay. Is time decay working against us or for us in this case? For us, because we're selling this. Could we buy this back when it's a nickel and eliminate the obligation? Buy it back for a nickel and avoid the nickel when it's done the majority of the work for us? So maybe we get $2.65 out of that premium instead of the whole $2.70. Is that okay? Yes. Okay. So that's up a lot. That works in our favor. And then could we sell another one down the road? Yes. What if the price of the stock goes up a little bit? And it's still above $2.40 at expiration. Do we get to collect the premium? Yeah. Is time decay still working for us? Why? Because we're the seller of an option, yeah? Okay? So time decay is working for us. The price of the stock moving up is working for us. Okay, what if it goes sideways? If the price of the stock does nothing, it's currently sitting at what, 246? If the price of the stock does nothing between now and the next 41 days, and it doesn't go below 240, are we okay? Because why? What's working for us? Time decay. It's eating away at that premium. We could buy that option back for a nickel or a little bit, whatever that metaphorical nickel was.
Yeah, exactly.
1, 2, 3 directions working in our favor. What if the price of the stock went down a little bit?
Careful.
Ooh, what if the price of the stock went down a little bit? So it's currently trading at 246. Where's our strike price? 240. How far down could the stock go? It could go down, it could go down to 240, or in fact, in order for us to still make a little bit of money or break even, it could go down all the way to 236.30, couldn't it?
That's right.
That's called being wrong and still making money.
Now, if it goes to 236, are you going to get assigned?
Yes.
Yep, and you bought the stock at a discount.
Cool. Okay. Now, what if the stock goes down a lot? Are you going to get put in stock like Scott just said? And if the price of the stock keeps going down, is that going to work against you?
Yes.
Yeah, because you now own the stock, right? But wait a second. Long call benefited from one direction. That's another boy band, by the way.
I see a thing.
But a cash secured put, 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5 possible directions work potentially in our favor. Holy cow! Did we just shift our range of possibilities significantly higher by selling a cash secured put than by buying a long call option? But wait a second. All I'm collecting in selling this option is $3.70 times 100 shares, or 370 bucks. My gain is limited. Wait a second. I want to compare that, Scott, to what we might gain if we were to sell a call option. Because you know what? I'm not necessarily convinced yet that that isn't the way to go. I might sell a call option. Let's even just sell the 240. The one that we were, or I'm sorry, let's buy the 240 and expect that the price of the stock is going to go up, right? 69-cent delta, so it's in the money. It's got a high likelihood of being in the money at expiration, or a higher likelihood. If we were to go right here and click on the ask price, now we're creating an order to buy the 240 strike. Same kind of parameters. We're buying this. Wait a second, it's costing us $10.65. Directions in our favor, but we're just not making as much. We don't have as big a percentage gain. Our gain is limited, but you know what? We have a potential to take delivery of the shares of stock. So one of the things to consider, and one of the reasons why we brought up the idea of, well, wait a second, if you've got a portfolio that's got a lot of cash, is this can certainly be, in selling a cash secured put, a method to put that cash to use, either by buying the stock, if you get assigned, or by utilizing that as an engine to generate premium in your account. How much are you getting on cash equivalents these days, like CDs and savings bonds and those kinds of things, right? Probably not as much as you might make in selling a cash secured put, depending on the circumstance. Question right here. Okay, that's 15% in 1 month gain. Okay, fair enough. Are you always going to get that? Absolutely not. But that is an example in this particular case. And implied volatility relatively high. Question back here. Oh, okay. So here's the question. I don't know if you heard that.
I did not.
The question is this. So specifically in this case, do a lot of selling of cash secured puts and a lot of selling of covered calls, kind of that wheel strategy. So is there a way to look at the chart to maybe make the decision-making process better? I love it. Thank you so much for asking that question, because that goes exactly back to what we talked about yesterday, doesn't it?
See Ray, he'll have your check.
Yeah. He owes me 20 bucks, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so where might we sell? We talked just a little bit about it just a minute ago. Where might we sell a cash secured put? On the chart. What influence might we be looking for on the chart as a means to determine where to sell a cash secured put?
We actually mentioned this early. It was brief, so I understand why maybe you're not forthcoming. What is it? Below what? Right around support.
At or below support, yeah. Because what do we expect? Let's go back to yesterday. What do we expect the price of the stock to do when it gets to support? Bounce and go up. Does bouncing and going up work in our favor if we sold a cash secured put? Yeah. Okay. Now, if we were going to sell a covered call, let's come back over here to the chart and let's draw this line here on the chart up around this resistance level. So if we were going to sell a covered call, what do we expect the price of the stock to do at a resistance level? bounce and come back down. So, the other side of the coin is, where do we sell a covered call? Maybe at or above resistance. So if you can draw lines on your chart where you see levels of support and resistance, can that help your decision-making process for where to sell puts and where to sell calls? Do you see why we taught you technical analysis first? Yeah, exactly. Did that help? Cool, okay.
Thanks for the question. Great.
Now, there's another thing to think about too, and again, even if you didn't draw levels of support and resistance on your chart, but oftentimes it will kind of come to the same level. Where did we say there was some of you picked up on this? We kind of started at about the same point from a probability standpoint. Where did we say when we were looking at these put options, when we were looking at the option chain, we first looked at expiration, right?
Yep.
And
then we looked at delta.
And then the second, we looked at delta.
We looked at around a 30 delta.
Why did we look at the 30 delta? Because the other side of that coin is 70% probability of being out of the money. So about a 2/3, 1/3 probability of being out of the money. Okay, watch this. Okay, this is going to get deep, and then we're going to get into some fun stuff too.
This is fun.
Oh, it's totally fun. Guys, I geek out about this stuff like you wouldn't believe. You see that I'm getting more animated and excited as we get into this? This is fun stuff. Okay, I apologize right now if you have high school or college statistics trauma. I don't mean to trigger that trauma too much. But let's kind of think about this.
So would that be post-traumatic?
Post-statistics trauma.
Yeah, exactly.
You remember that I said that my dad was a statistician, is a statistician? Yep. I hated math when I was growing up. I still do, to a certain extent. My dad and I butted heads like you would not believe about statistics. I hated. I still don't do regular math. That's why I have Scott up here to do that for me, right? But statistics I love now because I use it all the time. But he and I butted heads. So for you young people that are here, pay attention in your math class, okay? All right, fair enough. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw this, and this is probably going to trigger some of you.
All right, we just got nauseous already.
I know, I just already,
The old bell curve.
So look, I'm going to draw this kind of right down the middle of the bell curve of this distribution curve. This is a normal distribution curve, theoretically. And we get prices that come in, kind of all over this curve. And, if we were just saying normal distribution, then the majority of those price returns are going to fall in a particular area within this curve, right? That we're going to call that one standard deviation. That's my sigma, right? One standard deviation up or down from the midpoint. That's where the majority of the prices are going to fall. Sometimes we're going to get these outliers that are going to fall way out here, but not very often. Okay? So, approximately. Now, I know I'm approximating, so don't come at me, bro, on this. But the approximate range for that one standard deviation is 68 to 70%. Okay? So what that means is this is about 30%, and this is going to be about 30% out here. So where is that one standard deviation line? Right about the 30 delta. So what that means is if we're selling outside that 30 delta or 30 delta or less, we're out in here, or we're out in here. We're selling where the stock is not likely to be at expiration. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all it is. That's all using the 30-cent delta does, is it puts us in that range where the stock's not likely to be. We're playing the probabilities. Now, I just want to add one more thing.
You can add two if you want.
Remember what we said about direction and probability? This assessment of probability and those deltas is trend agnostic. It ignores trend. What if we know that the price of the stock is trending up, right? Well, what does it mean when a stock is in a trend in this distribution curve? It means that more of the price returns are going to fall on the right side of that curve. So this is going to get skewed this direction. So
And actually move the entire chart.
yeah, it's going to skew that whole thing in that direction. So if we're selling a cash secured put on an already uptrending stock, we're increasing our likelihood of success. In other words, we're increasing the likelihood of that option expiring worthless and we collect the premium if we're selling a cash secured put on an uptrending stock, because we've increased the probability that that option that we sell down here is going to be out of the money at expiration. Make sense?
That was a great explanation, really.
Thank you.
Seriously, really, that was a great explanation. I think that helps us kind of visually take it more in.
I hope it does. I hope that didn't confuse the situation. But I'll tell you what, if you want to have a conversation with me about delta and probability and standard deviation levels of support and resistance, connect with me on X, at Ben Watson CS, and we can have that conversation. So that's kind of the thought process there. So now here we are in terms of making this decision, and we might kind of put this together. But it requires, Scott, cash secured put requires us to have something in our account.
Cash.
Cash in our account. So you have to be aware of that. So the question is, well, equities don't count. No, it has to be readily available cash.
Be liquid.
Yeah. If you were to sell an option, let's say you were to sell a put option and you didn't have enough cash in your account, or for some reason cash was taken out of your account, so you can't cover the obligation, here's what's going to happen. A guy named Guido that looks a little bit like Ray and Scott, they're going to come to your house and they're going to break your kneecaps. No, that's not what's going to happen. You're going to get a call from a nice person on the margin desk.
That doesn't look like Ray or Scott.
And they're going to say, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to put some more cash in the account?
Yeah.
Or should I start liquidating your positions to satisfy the cash requirement? That's what's going to happen. It's not a scary thing. Now, there's one other thing. Hold on to your question for 1 second, because I'm going to get to it. If you didn't want to be put to stock, what could you do? Wait, hold on. What was that you said? Buy back the contract. When would you do that? Prior to expiration. Positively close the trade down prior to expiration so that you avoid being assigned. You don't want to be. Or roll it, like Rachel taught us. Question back there.
Yes, sir. I've noticed sometimes if I'm looking at buying a put,
Okay.
it's deep in the money. Let's say the stock's at 80, and I'm selling a 70 put.
Okay.
And I look at the 65 put, and that would be a $5 difference. But sometimes you can get an additional $3.50 for it, or something like that, for a $5 difference. Maybe I'm doing it first, but the intrinsic value is much less than, or a fair amount of money, like 30%, 40%, because you know you're pretty much going to get into it, whether it's a call or a put. In other words, the intrinsic value, when you get deep into them, whether it's the call or the put, doesn't always match dollar for dollar on intrinsic. Are those opportunities, or
Okay, so the question is, what if you see an option, I'll kind of summarize. What if you see an option that maybe is a little bit mispriced, especially if it's deep in the money, or sometimes far out of the money? Now, here's the thing. What governs intrinsic value? We talked about it again and again. It's the mathematical difference, intrinsic. It's the mathematical difference between stock price and strike price. But the difference in the premium that you might realize at an auction that is either in the money or out of the money is going to be the difference in extrinsic value, right? And extrinsic value is governed by and driven by those option Greeks and impacted by price, time, and volatility. So if you see a mispricing from one strike to the next, oftentimes that's going to be driven by the width of the bid-ask spread, or it might be a temporary mispricing because there's more demand for one option or the other, and implied volatility may change at one particular strike price versus another strike price. Intrinsic value isn't going to change, and you won't see a mispricing based on intrinsic value, because if you've got a 230 strike and the stock's trading at 246, the amount of intrinsic value is going to be the amount of intrinsic value. But the premium might be different simply because the extrinsic value is different. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, is that something to maybe take advantage of? Possibly. But you know what, here's something to think. And I'm glad you asked this question, because I want to kind of use this as a means to roll into this next scenario.
I'm thinking more like if the stock's at 230 and you're buying the 190 call,
Okay?
and the 185 is only $3.50 more than the 190. But that's a 5-point difference, and you're only going to get the stock. You're going to have the opportunity to buy it because you're deep into the call. But sometimes the discount between the 170 and the 165 is $3.50, and you're gonna buy the stock anyway. It seems like you're gonna get $5 on $3.50.
Yeah, this is a nuance. You're not going to see that very frequently. You may see it on occasion, and it's a nuance that you should handle as a nuance. And you've got your brain wrapped around it quite well.
Yeah, and check the width of your bid-ask spread.
That's it.
More than likely what's causing that difference in price.
That's right. And that bid-ask spread is specific to that strike price.
And it's going to be a function of demand. So, but let's think about something here. And I'm going to use this as a means then to bring Ray up here, and we're going to talk about vertical spreads, because now this makes a little bit more sense at this point. If we were going to, let's say, sell that 240 strike, right? And we sell that 240 strike here on T-Mobile, that requires us to hold $23,630 of cash in our account. Well, what if we didn't have $23,000 of cash in our account? Now you're starting to think, oh, 240 strike gives me the obligation to buy the stock, but if I at the same time were to buy the 230 strike, which gives me the right to sell the stock at 230, I have the obligation to buy it at 240. I have the right to sell it at 230. Now I've changed the system, haven't I? Because now I don't have to hold $23,000 of cash in my account, because my maximum loss in this trade just went from the price of the stock going all the way to zero to $772. Because I have the right to buy the stock at 230, I have the obligation to buy or I have the right to sell the stock at 230, and I have the obligation to take delivery of it at 240. The most I could lose is $5 minus the amount of premium that I brought in.
There you go.
The trade. That's going to lead us into short verticals. Scott, thank you so
Thanks,
much.
man. Hey, Kate, this is my new buyout. See some of you as you're leaving and stuff. And thanks so much for being here today. Appreciate that. Great. Good.
All right. Now, while you're clapping, continue that clapping for Ray Kimbrell as he comes up here. Hi, Ray. I like that. It's like tagging in and tagging out, right? Because it's like a cage match up here with me. Isn't it?
It is. I did wrestle in college.
I know, I'm not taking you on, man.
And I did teach hand-to-hand combat.
You're a Marine, so I'm not gonna take that one. Okay. All right. You saw what we just did.
I did see that. That's a lot of money you got to hold out there.
$23,000 versus $772, right? Creating this vertical, what we call a vertical spread, right? And if we look at this, then Ray, let's talk through rights and obligations.
All right.
I kind of alluded to it as we were starting to put this together, but this kind of gets us to our expectations. We have an obligation here, don't we?
We do.
The obligation is to what?
To, if it's a short put the vertical spread. So think back to when you just did short puts. What is the obligation when you do it's a short put? What do you do? What's the obligation if it's a short put? Buy the shares, right? Same thing. No different. Short put vertical, short put obligation is the same because you have a short put as part of the trade. Make sense? Don't overthink it. That's what it is.
Now we have a right to do something.
Right. So this morning, when you learned about calls and puts, remember that? Call up, put down, call up, put down, call up, put down. Do not get it confused or you'll lose your money, right? All right. So when you buy a put, you have the what? Buy a put, rights to sell the stuff, right? So look at a short vertical spread, whether it's a short call or short put vertical, doesn't matter. Just break it up. You know the definition now. It's the very first thing you did this morning. You have a nice little page, as a matter of fact, that explains it. All right? So just break up a vertical into the two legs. You got a short put. What's my obligation? Buy the shares. I got a long put. What's my right? Sell the shares. Right? So if you put them together, short put vertical, you still have both things going for you. But there is one little small caveat. Depends on when you do this. All right? So if it's before expiration, all right, there's still time left of the trade, do you still have that obligation in right? What do you think? Yeah, you do. Right?
Wait, hold on a second. You said if we do this before expiration, we still have an obligation and we still have a right, because both
Correct.
of those options still exist.
Right.
They haven't reached their end of life. We haven't let them go all the way through till expiration.
Right.
Okay. All right, cool.
So as long as you have that time, you have that ability, you can do that. Okay? Now, what if it gets to 4:01 Eastern time on Friday of expiration? What happens then? Which ones expire? Both of them? Did both of them expire? The long expired, what about the short? Did the short expire? So who can trade it until after hours? No one can trade after hours.
But they can
Right?
choose.
They can. You cannot exercise after hours.
They have 15 minutes or an hour depending on the exchange. But
Yeah.
but it doesn't trade. The option doesn't
trade.
trade. So it effectively ends trading at 4 o'clock Eastern time on
Yep.
Friday. And both of them, if they were both out of the money, both of them would do what?
Expire what? Worthless.
If
Is that a good thing, by the way?
Yeah.
Is that what you really want to do? Is that what you want, typically what you want when you do a vertical spread? Both to expire worthless, yes or no? Yeah, that's what you want. Because you get to keep the premium, both options go away, you're good, you're done, you're good again next month.
wait a second, Ray. What if both of them expired in the money?
Oh, both expire in the money. Well, you have this thing called automatic assignment, automatic exercise.
Yeah.
So what'll happen is they're automatically going to assign you first. Okay? So if it's short put, what's going to happen? You are going to have to what? Buy, okay, those shares. But they'll see the fact that you have a long put associated with it. So as soon as you do that, they'll automatically exercise the long put, and you can sell it back to them for that. But where's the rub on this? So in this case, that was a $10 spread, wasn't it? Remember the one you just did? $10 spread, right? So I can't remember which one you sold.
It was we sold at 240.
Right, you sold
We bought at
240.
230.
All right, so that $10 difference, all right? You got to go in and you got to buy them at 240, and you have to sell them at 230. you lose 10, yes? But what did you pull in ahead of time? Premium. Premium still. So it's not,
$2.28.
so it's not a total, so you're now lost $7
And 72 cents.
All right, that makes sense?
So we might even call this, we've defined our risk in this trade, in this vertical spread. We've defined the risk as less than letting the stock go all the way to zero, right? By creating this spread trade instead of just selling the cash secured put. Now, there's one other scenario, and this is the scenario that strikes fear into the hearts of
everyone that does
vertical
these.
spread traders, right?
Yep. And that's what if it goes in between? So what if all of a sudden you got this trade and the stock goes down, you don't want it to go down, short put, right? You want it to go up, but it goes down, right? And not only does it go down, it goes down on expiration Friday, and instead of 240, let's say it goes down at 235.
Halfway in between.
Ooh. So the expiration, they expire. Does the long put do you any good?
Because it's expired and it's gone, right?
It's expired. It has
The
no value.
230 is gone.
No value whatsoever. But that long one, and the short one. What about the short spread or a short leg? If you've got a short put all by itself, like you did earlier, and it expires in the money, what is your obligation? Buy. You have to buy it. But then you go, I don't have the money to buy those. Right? That could happen, yes? Then what's going to happen Monday morning? Scott Durfee is going to be at your front door with chains. Right?
Wow, that's pretty graphic.
Where is he? He's not
He's not even here.
Not even here. So Guido is going to cut. No, it's not going to happen. Just what Ben said earlier. No different, right? What's going to happen Monday is you're going to say, hey, you see that you're being assigned, you don't have the money for this, what do you want to do? You want to give me money? All right? And you may do that, and you can satisfy the obligation that way. Or they're going to say, or you can just what? Sell the difference of where it is, take that loss. Make sense? They're going to give you options.
And it occurs to me that there's one other way that we could avoid that particular scenario happening that strikes fear into the hearts of vertical spread traders everywhere. How would we do that? Wait, say that again, please. Close it before expiration. Buy it back. Close the spread positively prior to expiration. Add a metaphorical nickel to avoid the pickle. Buy it back and close it. You know why we don't? You know why we as option traders oftentimes don't do that? Because we're cheap. Honestly, and look, I'm not saying that as a negative characterization, right? But that's the reality of the situation. We think about it from that standpoint of saying, hey, you know, I work my trades and I try to get in at a good, narrow bid-ask spread, and I'm going to try to save a penny here and save a penny there by looking for very liquid options and very liquid stocks. And then now, Ben, you're telling me you want me to give up a nickel or 20 cents?
Yes.
Yeah. Why? Because as you're reaching down to try to collect that additional nickel or 20 cents of premium, there is a potential freight train bearing down on you. Does the risk change? Because our maximum risk in this trade is $772. And now let's say we're 2 days or 3 days prior to expiration, and this option that we sold for $2.28 is trading at 10 cents. And we're thinking, cool, it's likely, if it's at 10 cents, it's likely to expire worthless, and I get to collect that additional 10 cents. Could the price of the stock still move in 2 days to the point where you're now both of those legs in the money?
Yep.
Is it probable? Probably not. Is it possible?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And all it takes, like I said before, all it takes is one freight train to ruin your whole day.
So let me give a quick story if I could. So earlier I talked about this a little bit, and I said, you know, before you get into any trade, you need to have an exit strategy, right? The other one is, I said, well, the other one is if the market gives you an out,
Yes.
take it, all right? So to tell myself so you don't follow the same suit and learn from my mistake, all right? Short put vertical. So I was in short put vertical, right? You've got to look at the fact that earnings were on expiration Friday, all right? Stock starts to go down, all right? I had 3 opportunities to get out of this trade earlier, but I didn't want to pay that nickel. 50 whole cents, all right? And so I stayed in. Totally forgot about the earnings, but I'm in there, I'm in the back of the room, we're in class, just like this. I was in the back of the room back there, and I'm looking at it, I'm going, saying bad Marine Corps words, all right? And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm going, I said these very words. It can't go any lower.
Oh, those are not good words to say because you're almost always going to get market karma.
So, you know, me be wrong, all right? So, yes, I said that, and it went lower, and then it went lower. Then it went lower. $7 later lower. On expiration Friday, guess where it closed? Not in between, all the way through, so max loss. All right, now I've been winning like crazy on these vertical spreads because I was getting cocky and forgetting the rules until I got slapped by the market saying, ha ha! All right, so learn from my mistake, which I know you won't. All right? And if you are sitting in your office and you say these words to yourself or out loud or to your friend or spouse or daughter or son or whoever, grandkids, and you go, see this? It can't go any lower. You just go ahead and slap yourself. All right? Because it can. And usually it will. All right? And so, you know, I learned the hard way. The good news is I did have the right money management, so I did. Did I have max loss? Yes. Did it blow me up? No. Did it hurt? Yeah. Anybody like to lose money? Let's see it. Anyone? I didn't think so. All right. So, if I can leave you with anything, have an exit strategy. All right. If the market gives you an out, take it. Don't be so prideful, so bold in yourself. You think that you can't be wrong or it can't reverse on you, because it can. And it will. How many have lived that already? Yes? Anybody? All right. So we'll be a help.
Okay, now.
Real quick.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So what's the best practice you're saying? All right. So best practice is develop your exit strategy. Maybe one of them is, we can't tell you what you should do. All right. But let's say I've got 80% of the game. All right, you pull in $2, now the vertical spread's worth $1.40 or 40 cents or 20 cents. Close it. Because you've got most of it already. Right? If it's getting close to expiration, we said this earlier also, it's getting close to expiration. There's an idea. Close it 4 to 10 days prior to expiration. What are you going to gain? Remember the curve, the expiration curve, the heat. I was over there, Ben walked to me, right? It shrunk. What's happening as you get close to expiration? What is just getting sucked out of the value? Time, right? All that's going on. That's your favorite. But that last 4 days, are you going to gain that much? Probably not. So what? Take the money and run, right? Okay. If all of a sudden you've been in a spread that's been going against you, and all of a sudden I'm at that point, you go, I just don't see it happening. What do you think? Stay in and take it? Or maybe get out. It's up to you all. But that's some of the things but have your exit strategy and stick to it. Because here's one of the worst mistakes you can make. Oh, it's only 20 cents.
It's only 20 cents.
It can't go any lower. Oh, yes it can. All right? And then you would have gone, dadgummit. I remember that little crazy short Marine guy in that class saying these things.
Yeah.
There it is. All right? How do you know if it's like a $5 wide spread or a $2 wide spread or a $1 wide spread? How that spread length? So the further out, the further you go in spread. So like this is a $10 spread. All right? And that's all they offer, by the way. This is only had $10 spreads. All right? So you had no choice. You don't do that one. Well, let's say you have a stock, you're looking at it, and it has $1 wide spreads, 250, 5, and 10. Now, that happens sometimes. The wider the spread, the more what? What's the R? Sounds like risk. Risk. All right, the more risk you have. All right, because think about it. The wider that spread, what do you have to cover? The spread. All right, minus the premium. All right, so depending on, you start looking at it, you look at the spreads, and you go, well, if I do the $10 wide spread, I got to cover that spread, but I'm only pulling in $1.50 of premium. On a good ratio, isn't it? Right? But if I do the $5 wide spread, I got to move my strikes. But now maybe that's at $1.50 or $1.20. Is that a better ratio? Yep.
So let's create one here. As a matter of fact, we're going to flip this over. Let's create a short call vertical
Short call, all right.
instead of a short put vertical, right? You do the same thing.
Okay. So short call, what's short call? Bullish or bearish?
Bearish. So we're going to go to the trade tab. This is T. You notice what I drew in here? What's that line? Resistance. So where do I want to sell a call? At or above resistance. Where do I want to sell a short call spread? At or above resistance. So I'm going to go to the trade tab. That level is about $24.75 to $25. So I'm going to go to the trade tab. And I'm going to go out, in this particular case, we're going to go out to the 14 March expiration, 34 days to go until expiration, and I'm going to sell a call spread. Maybe I'm going to go to the next one because there's maybe a little bit more liquidity there. Not a lot, but there's the 25 strike.
It is the weekend, too.
It is the weekend. So watch this. Look, where did we say that resistance was? About $24.75 to $25. So if I sell the 25 call option, is that at or above my level of resistance? Yeah. So I'm going to sell that one for 42
And its
cents.
delta is also 40.
Yeah.
So what's the range of delta you want to look for? Between 30 and 40?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm going to sell that one and I'm going to bring in 42 cents, right? But now, let's go to our choices here. I could buy the 26 strike. That one's going to cost me 15 cents. So if I click on buy, I'm using my control key to do this together as one order. So my net credit's going to be 29 cents against a dollar wide strike. So my gain in the trade is going to be $29. My risk in the trade is going to be $71. But what if I were to change that strike that I'm selling, or excuse me, that I'm buying from the 26 to the 27? Now what do I have more of? Risk? Because now my spread is how wide? $2 wide. How much premium am I bringing in? 39 cents. I'm bringing in a little bit more premium, yes? Because the 27 strike is costing me less for that protection that it gives me. But if I go to my confirm and send button, oh, I'm bringing in a little bit more premium, but I have more risk in the trade. Does that make sense? The wider the spread, the more risk, but it may give you a little bit more premium. You just have to play with that balance to see what makes sense in this trade, right? And so it is all about kind of playing that balance here. Now, I want to ask the question, in this call spread, as we go back to the chart here, let's think about it. Let's go back to our direction. Does down a lot help me? Yeah, because that call spread that I sold, remember we said that this has a bearish bias? Does the price of the stock moving down, which is what we expected to do at resistance, right? Bounce and go down. If that goes down a lot, does that help me? Yeah. If it goes down a little bit, does that help me? If it goes sideways, does that help me? Why? Because of time decay, right? If it goes up a little bit, stock's trading at 24.54. I'm giving it about 50 cents of range of headroom to move to the upside in this case. So up a little bit works in my favor. I can be wrong in my direction, a little bit wrong, and still make money in the trade, or at least break even. What if the price of the stock goes up a lot? that's when it hurts me. 4 out of the 5 directions work in my favor. So if you're thinking about the difference between trading a directional option, low probability, low risk or defined risk, but infinite possibility of gain, or maybe close to infinite if it goes to 0, you got to expect the fact that you've got one direction that stock can move, either up or down, big, that works in your favor because of time decay. But if you're trading a high probability trade, like vertical spreads or like a cash secured put or like a covered call, 4 out of the 5 directions work in your favor. Your choice, right, in how you trade. Can you speculate? Sure. Can you use this as a means to generate income? Sure. 2 different ways to use options in your
So
account.
this trade also, is this a home run kind of trade? What do you guys think? As opposed to a directional call or a directional put, what do you guys think? Because the directional call has what? Infinite what? Possibilities of gain, right? You can keep going up, up, up. You can hit those big home runs, right? But what about this? Are these like base hits? Base hit, base hit, base hit, a little more conservative, a little more consistent. You kind of know, going into the trade what the outcome could be if it's the right rate, right? I mean, you know the outcome. You know it. You can only make this much money. That's it. Okay? But if you can hone those in and get real confident in these and understand that, can you then look at your portfolio and go, if I'm able to, win, so to speak, on, 80% of these trades, I can then see how I can grow my account a certain way because you know what that is. But what is the thing you really got to make sure you do on these spreads? If they go against you. Manage them. You can't just sit there and get really good like I thought I was, and it's like, I'm going to expiration. I don't need to close them early. They're going to expire worthless, right? All right? So you got to manage it. You let them go against you, max gain. Just like I love this analogy that you made earlier, Ben, about the stack of dimes. All right? One bad one. One bad max loss knocks down a whole bunch of dimes.
Sure.
So you got to make sure you're managing. It's not one of those. It's not those Ronco. It's not a Ronco trade. All the older people are going, I remember those commercials. All right? You can't set it and forget it. Okay? You do have to manage those trades. You got to manage it. Okay?
All right. You guys ready to play game?
All right. I'll let you do the game.
This is the. Oh no, I want you up here first.
Oh, okay.
Is that okay?
All right.
I want you to help me manage.
All right.
This is something we've never done before, so you guys are my guinea. We've played the hard right edge game before, but I've not done it with options yet. So, help me as we work through this. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you a stock chart. I'm going to put on there the RSI. I'm going to put on there the implied volatility. And you've got 4 choices. Okay? Here are your 4 choices. You're going to go long the stock. Okay? That's one choice. You're going to go long the stock, meaning you're going to buy the stock. Second choice is you're going to go long a call. Third choice is you're going to sell a cash secured put. Fourth choice is you're going to go short a put vertical spread. What's the directional bias on all 4 of those trades? Bullish, right? Okay. So do you understand? Long a call,
Long stop.
long a stock, or long a call, or short a put, or short a put vertical. Okay, those are your choices. So I want you to just think in your head what you might choose based on your own personality and what you know. So let's just kind of quickly review this. Long a stock, if the stock goes up, you gain $1 for every $1 that the stock moves, yes? There's no expiration date, but you don't get leverage. Long the call option, if the stock goes up, wow, that works in your favor, but you got to be right directionally, you got to be right time-wise if you're battling against time. Short the put option, you've got a limited amount of gain, but 4 out of the 5 directions work in your favor, so you can be wrong and still make money in the trade. Short the put vertical, same thing, 4 out of 5, you can still be wrong, but it doesn't cost you as much. So your percentage return is going to be more. Okay, so let's try this. So bear with me as we do this. I'm going to bring this chart up. So what do you want to think about? We're going to start on the date that I'm going to show you. So we're going to start on the 11th of November. And here's what's going on. The implied volatility is low, RSI is moving up, and the price of the stock has just broken out above a resistance level right around the 220 range or so.
You can't see the two technical indicators. The one with the orange line and gray line, that's the RSI. The blue line is the implied volatility.
So I want you, you don't have to announce it, you don't just have to kind of think in your head, what are you going to do? Are you going to go long the stock? Are you going to go long the call? Are you going to go short the put? Are you going to go short the put vertical? Okay?
It's so hard.
All right. Now we're going to, we know what our starting date is, and we know a couple of days in the future as to what this has done. It's gone up a little bit, then it's kind of gone sideways. So which trades of those 4 is that sideways movement not really hurting? The short put and the short vertical. Stock's kind of neutral because it doesn't suffer from time decay. We're just not getting price appreciation. Which one is that sideways movement hurting? The long call. Because we're not getting price appreciation, time decay is eating away at it. So let's go to the next day. Oh, dang. Price of the stock came down. So let me just remind you, the price that we entered the trade was about
Should we ask him what they picked first?
221. Sure.
All right, so show of hands, who picked long stock? Who picked long stocks?
Okay.
They're
Cool.
in the option class. They're going, I'm not picking no stock. I'm in an options class. All right, so we got a few stock owners. Okay, who did the long call? Long calls.
All right.
All right. Who did a short put? Okay, a lot more short puts. Who did short put vertical?
Nice.
Okay. All right, okay.
I love
All
it.
right.
Who doesn't know what to pick?
Yeah, who didn't pick anything? Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. You're just waiting to see the outcome of what everybody else is doing. You're technical analysts because you're just evaluating what the stock is doing and then making a decision. All right, cool. All right, let's go on. So our entry point into the stock was $221, and we bought the long call strike at 210, and we sold the 210 cash secured put, and we sold the 210 215 put vertical. Okay, just so you know while we're doing this. So I'm going to go day by day, and we're just going to keep going. We're going to go fairly quickly. Is that working for our long stock? Yeah. Price of stock's going up. Is that working for our long call? Maybe, yeah. Is it working for our long put? Our short put?
Yep.
Is it working for our short put vertical?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, cool. That's working in our favor.
Everyone's a winner.
Has implied volatility really moved very much? No. So we haven't lost much from implied volatility, nor have we gained much. Oh, okay. Now we're continuing to move. Now here we are in December. Price of the stock's still going higher. That's working in our favor in all 4 trades, isn't it? That's the direction we want it to go. We were bullish. Okay. Now,
Who's out?
anybody just closing it down
Who's
now?
Who's on? How many days to expiration?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So on the call option, our expiration on the call was March. On the cash secured put, our expiration was February. And on the short put vertical, our expiration was February. Again, right? Buying a little more time than we think we need, or selling a little bit closer to expiration, right? All right, so the price of the stock's going up. Now we're up at around 260 at this point. Cool, okay, that's working in our favor. Uh-oh. Now what happened to implied volatility when the price of the stock went down? It went up a little bit, didn't it? So that probably buoyed up the price of our stock, well, excuse me, the price of our long call, worked against us in our short put, and worked against our short put vertical.
Right.
Oh, now it went down again. Stock's not appreciating, long call's getting hit, but our short put vertical, our short put probably not doing so bad at this point.
Because we sold the 210, you said?
Yeah.
So we got to be, all we have to do on the short put and the short put vertical, what is the driver of your profit? Where does it need to be? It needs to be where on the short? Above the short, very good. Correct, it needs to be above the short vertical. So that little bit of pullback, although it changed the value of those options, are you too worried right now? You're about 30 points above your short, right?
So I'm going to keep going forward. Price of stock's still kind of cruising to the downside a little bit. What's the RSI doing?
Oh yeah.
Trending down. What does that tell us about momentum? Falling off. It's maybe turning into some bearish momentum.
Applied volatility is moving up.
Oh yeah. Applied volatility is getting higher. Oh. Dun dun dun.
Oh, who's getting nervous?
Anybody getting out of the long stock? Anybody getting out of the long call? Anybody getting out of the short verticals or the short puts? Because what's happening if the price of the stock is going down to those short positions?
A couple out, got a few of them out.
Those are getting more expensive, so it's going to cost you to get out of them, isn't it? All right. Okay, now it's still going. Oh, wait, it's going back up. Now it's going sideways, going back up, going side. Sometimes stocks go sideways. What's going on with implied volatility?
By the way, before you go on, Ben, so the big candle went down, and I asked the question, who's out? Only a few people said, okay, I'm out. The rest of you stayed in, and then it popped right back up again. And you went, see? I had my chance to get out, but I didn't.
Because the bus will turn around and go to Savannah.
Because some of you thought this, it can't go any lower.
It was
Oh.
It goes a little lower. Yes, question. Yeah. Instead of dropping? Because maybe there's, okay, good question. The question was, wait, if momentum is going down and the stock is still going sideways, why is it still going sideways and not dropping? That's because the price of the stock is closing closer to the lows. You've got the RSI on there, closing closer to the lows than it is closing closer to the highs. That would suggest there's not a lot of buying pressure. There's some keeping the stock price from breaking the support level, but there's not a lot of upward oomph. Remember we talked about momentum being the push, one way or the other. So now let's keep going. Here we are into the end of the year. Oh, here we are. Okay, so now here we are. We are on, let me go one more day.
January.
We are on January 10th. Okay, this is kind of the midpoint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give us a midpoint check of what our options and positions might be worth at this particular point. Okay? Midpoint check. The stock is currently trading at this point at $222 a share. Have we gained anything? We bought it at 221, it's now at 222. We gained a buck, but it went up and it's come back down. Did we lose anything to time decay? No, we've gained a little bit. Now our long call, which by the way we paid $25 a share for that long call, is now trading on January 10th at $19 a share. Did we lose something in that long call?
Yep.
Yeah, about $6.
But wait a minute.
The time decay and
So back to the earlier discussion. Remember, the stock went up. It's higher than the call when you bought it, but you lost money. Why? Time decay. Right.
and a little bit of price movement. Yeah. Okay, our cash secured put, which we sold for an $18 credit, is now at this midpoint trading at $21 a share. Why do you suppose that might be? Okay, people think it's going down, which means that implied volatility did what? Went up. It actually made our options, we want to get cheaper it made that option more expensive than what we brought in to begin with. So the directional price movement is working against us, it's going down, and implied volatility is working against us. Okay. Our short put vertical spread at this midpoint, by the way, we sold it originally for $2.20 per share for the vertical spread. That vertical spread right now is trading at $3.93. So we're losing a little bit of money on that spread because implied volatility did what? Went up, the price of the stock went down. So both of those, all of those circumstances, with the exception of the long stock, are kind of working against us here at this point, aren't they? All right, let's keep going. And I'm just going to go forward pretty quickly here. Implied volatility may be now starting to come back down. What's the price of the stock doing? Going back up. Oh, okay.
Who's out?
Anybody getting out?
Second time I've asked that question. Who's getting out? See that? Because I asked
Somebody's
you.
selling a call option against their long stock. I like that. That's good. You were at it 260. Okay. Fair enough. I'm going to keep going real quick.
Oh!